Alyssa Thomas did it again. 3 weeks ago, she put a fist into Caitlin Clark's neck and walked away without a whistle. Got one game off. Came back. And on Saturday night, she drove her elbow into Lexie Hull's face so hard that Hull went down holding her head. Same player, same team, same series. And this time, the Indiana Fever did not wait for a referee to make the right call. Myisha Hines-Allen was in Thomas's face before Hull hit the ground. Sophie Cunningham was right behind her. Both enforcers, simultaneously, in front of everyone. And the message that sent to Thomas, to the Mercury, to the entire WNBA was clearer than anything a flagrant one-foul call could ever communicate. You come for one Fever player, and you come for all of them. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications right now, because what happened on Saturday night is the moment this team has been building toward all season. Here is what makes this moment so much bigger than just one flagrant foul. Clark just came back from a back injury caused in part by Thomas putting a fist to her neck 3 weeks ago. She missed multiple games. The arena emptied when she sat out. Fans boycotted. Dave Portnoy called the WNBA the worst marketed league in the history of leagues. The President of the United States said Clark was treated rather rough. And on Clark's first game, back against the same team whose player caused all of that, Thomas did not adjust her approach. She did not play differently. She did not pull back. She drove her elbow into Lexie Hull's face in the same series and waited to see what happened next. What happened next was Hines-Allen and Cunningham making sure she understood exactly what this team thinks about that approach. Thomas's history with Indiana this season is no longer a coincidence or a pattern of unfortunate plays. It is a documented record. Fist to Clark's neck. No call in real time. 1 game suspension. Mercury GM Tibbetts calls it an insufficient investigation and defends Thomas publicly. Mercury official social media tweets a video of someone on the ground asking, "Do you want a piece of this?" after the incident. And now the same player drives her elbow into a Fever teammate's face in the next game they play together. The Mercury's approach to playing Indiana has been consistent all season. And on Saturday night, the Fever's response was equally consistent. This is not a player who plays physical by accident. This is a player whose physicality has now been directed at 2 different Indiana Fever players in the same series. Clark's neck 3 weeks ago. Hull's face on Saturday. The pattern is documented. It is on film. It has been reviewed by the league once already this season and resulted in a 1-game suspension that Thomas's own GM called insufficient in terms of the investigation process. And yet, here we are again. Same player. Different target. Same Mercury organization that tweeted a video of someone on the ground after the Clark incident. The question the WNBA has to answer now is not whether Thomas plays physical. It is whether the league's response to her physicality has been appropriate. 1 game for a fist to the neck. A flagrant one for an elbow to the face. The math does not add up. And the Indiana Fever's enforcers made sure everyone in that building understood that on Saturday night. Now let's talk about what Hines-Allen and Cunningham actually did. Because this was not a reaction. This was a statement. Hines-Allen and Cunningham did not look at each other before stepping in. They did not need to. This is what a team that has been through everything Indiana has been through this season looks like when it decides enough is enough. Hines-Allen has been Clark's physical protector all season. She confronted Thomas after the throat punch. She rejected Sheldon in the Commissioner's Cup. She brings an energy to every game that tells opponents there are consequences for how you treat Indiana players. And Cunningham, the same player who went rogue on a buzzer beater, who played through a PRP shot in her elbow without saying a word, who broke her silence on her podcast and said they are definitely targeting Clark and the league does nothing, stepped in right beside her. Thomas drove an elbow into Hull's face and found out in about 3 seconds what the Indiana Fever have become. Hull is one of the most liked players on this roster. Not the loudest, not the most statistically dominant, but the kind of teammate that every player in that locker room would go to war for. The radio appearance after Clark's buzzer beater where she said she was holding her breath watching the shot go up. The confirmation that the play was not exactly what they drew up, but it worked. Hull is the connective tissue of this team in a way that does not show up in a box score. And Thomas drove an elbow into her face on Clark's first game back. That is not a coincidence. That is a team whose approach to playing Indiana has not changed despite everything that happened 3 weeks ago. The GM defended Thomas after the throat punch. The team's official social media account posted a video of someone on the ground asking if you want a piece of this. And now, Thomas drives an elbow into a Fever player's face in the next meeting between these two teams. At what point does the behavior of one player become a reflection of what an organization enables? Tibbetts said it was not a thorough investigation. He said nobody from the league called him. He stood at a podium and told the world his player is 100% supported. The Mercury organization made a choice after the Clark incident about whose side they were on. Thomas made another choice on Saturday night about how she was going to play against Indiana. And both choices are now on record alongside the fact that Hines Allen and Cunningham stepped into Thomas's face the moment Hull went down. Now here is where Sophie Cunningham's podcast becomes the most important thing said about this situation all season, because she said it before Saturday happened. She said it before Clark came back. She said it weeks ago when everyone was still debating whether Thomas was a dirty player or just physical.
Podcast.
I have, but then like you see the videos of like literally kneeing and cheap shotting C in the throat. Like if she did that to any of our teammates, we'd be pissed. But like they're definitely targeting her, and the league and the refs do nothing to protect her.
If she did that to any of our teammates, we'd be pissed. Sophie said that weeks ago. She was talking about what Thomas did to Clark. And on Saturday, Thomas did it to a teammate, to Hull, in the same series. And Cunningham and Hines Allen made sure Thomas felt exactly the level of pissed that Sophie described on that podcast. This is not reactive. This is not impulsive. This is a team that saw what happened to Clark, saw the one-game suspension, saw the GM's defense of Thomas, saw the social media tweet, heard Sophie say on a podcast that they are definitely targeting us and the league does nothing, and decided that the league doing nothing was no longer going to be the whole story. The enforcers are going to be part of the story now too. Clark came back on Saturday. She came back after missing multiple games, after a back injury that started with a fist to her neck, after an empty arena, after a presidential comment, after everything. And on the night she came back, Thomas drove an elbow into Lexie Hull's face, and Hines Allen and Cunningham stepped in front of 6,000 people and made sure Thomas understood that Indiana is a different team than the one she thought she was playing against 3 weeks ago. The flagrant one foul was called. The game continued. Indiana won. Clark was back on the floor, and the two players who have defined what it means to be Clark's enforcer all season made it clear one more time that targeting any Fever player carries a cost that a one-game suspension does not begin to cover. The WNBA has a decision to make about Alyssa Thomas. Fist to the neck. 1 game. Elbow to the face. Flagrant one. The math is going to be watched by the same president who said Clark was treated rather rough. By the same fans who emptied an arena in protest. By the same sponsors and television networks whose deals are built around Clark being healthy and protected and on the floor. Hines Allen and Cunningham did their job on Saturday. Now it is the league's turn to do theirs. What do you think? Should the WNBA suspend Alyssa Thomas again after the elbow on Lexie Hull? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because this story is not over. We will see you in the next one.